The first thing that you need to get into your head is this, okay? It doesn't matter what job you're working, it doesn't matter what career you're trying to build for yourself, it doesn't even matter what degree you have, okay? No one cares about all the years of work experience that you've got, and no one certainly cares about what Uncle Ben or Auntie Bettina thinks when they hear that you've decided to become a lawyer or doctor or solicitor. None of that matters, okay? And I guarantee you that if you can sit through this video and actually apply the principle that I'm teaching you today in your own life, you will make more money and probably even 10x your earnings potentials. And so let's get into it. Okay, and so I'm not going to waste your time because really and truly, there's only one thing that matters. And this is in essence the entire principle. And I call this principle IFA. Okay, you guys get to see my whiteboard drawings improving over time. Now, what does IFA stand for? IFA stands for Industry First Approach. Okay, so I'm going to explain what this means. I'm going to break it down and give you the 4 Bs, which are basically a rule set to ensure that you're operating with an industry first approach. And then I'm going to give you some examples at the end just to kind of really make things easy and simple for you. But an industry first approach is in essence forgetting everything else that you think or may have come to understand about having a career, having a job, making a living or making money, and only going into things based upon the 4 Bs. And the 4 Bs look something like this. These 4 Bs represent the 4 main questions that you need to ask yourself. And I'm laughing because of the Fantastic Four meme. Editor, do your magic and show the people.
My granny called, she said, Travis, you work too hard, don't worry, you forget about me. I'm falling in and out of cause, don't worry, I'm a kitty granny.
But they represent 4 questions that you need to ask yourself when looking to make money, have a career, build a business, whatever. This IFA still applies. And so the first B represents, if I can spell it correctly, barrier, okay? What is the barrier to entry to the thing that you're trying to get into? So for example, if you're trying to get a job in, I'll use a brilliant example that I'm sure some of us will be familiar with, high ticket sales or sales in general, the barrier to entry is very low, okay? All you need to do is to be able to communicate and have a mobile phone, or in essence, someone who's willing to provide you with a mobile phone. And you pick up that phone and more often than not, you'll be calling people and talking to people. It doesn't require some sort of high level technical ability, doesn't require qualifications, doesn't require something niche or special. And so the barrier to entry is very low. Whereas, take for example cybersecurity, which is something that I did and I'm very well versed in, the barrier to entry was incredibly high. I mean, it took me, probably maybe 4 years, 5 years to really break into that industry and start seeing the fruit. And so the first thing you need to bear in mind, what is the barrier to entry? Obviously, someone trying to become a doctor is going to have a way higher barrier to entry than someone just trying to do high ticket sales or do UI UX design, you know? These type of things you need to consider and think as your first question before then moving on to the next B, which is bear. And we kind of spoke on this and it kind of ties into the barrier. And to be honest, all of these kind of tie into each other. You need to ask yourself, with whatever you want to do, what is the absolute minimum that I can get or that I need to be somewhat recognized or have some sort of fruit in this field? If we go back to the last example, just to give a more career-based approach, you know, for high ticket sales, do I just need 1 year's experience doing regular sales? Or do I need 2 years experience, 1 year doing regular sales, 2 years being more of a closer? Cybersecurity, for example, you needed many years of experience and qualifications. And so you need to ask yourself, what's the barrier? But also, what is the actual bare minimum? And look at this with humility, okay? I'm not saying what do you need to start being the absolute biggest property company in the world, to be one of the world's most renowned closers or cybersecurity experts. No, Be humble. What is it that you need to actually be able to say, okay, I am doing this thing. I'm actually in this thing. Next is benchmark. And this is a very important one, and honestly one of my favorite ones. Okay, now what is the average salary or wage or pay for this thing that you're going into? Okay, and so for example, I know that in cybersecurity, the salary ranges from anywhere from 50,000 a year to up to 250 and 300,000 a year. I know that maybe for something like high ticket sales, I know that the low end can be 100,000 a year, and the high end can be anywhere up to 500,000 a year if we're really being generous. Something like, I don't know, being a nurse or a midwife, for example, could be anywhere from 20 to 50,000. I know in the UK there's different bands, but then something like having a real estate business could be millions. You need to find out what is the average salary and pay for someone in my industry. And the final B, which again is one that I neglected for many years, but is as important as all of the others, is balance. Okay, and the way that I see balance is simply, would you be able to tolerate doing this for the next 5 to 10 years and actually enjoy your life? So for example, someone who is introverted would hate doing sales and honestly would probably want to kill themselves because of how every day that job forces them to come out of their comfort zone. But someone who is an extrovert would love doing sales because it allows them to utilize, their personality and their character. But that same extroverted person would probably hate cybersecurity because they have to be at the desk all day and just type. Whereas an introvert may love that. And so ultimately, same thing with business or whatever it is you want to do, you need to ask yourself, can I balance this thing? Can I do this thing for the next 5 to 10 years and actually be happy with my life? I'm going to even make this easy for you and just give you some things to do, because I know sometimes people can watch videos like this and think, okay, like where do I start? And so I would say, if it was me, and I wish someone could have shown me this years ago, the first thing that I would do is go away and do some research. Okay, come on, the internet is free. I'm not going to give you all the research, but use Google, use ChatGPT, use whatever you want, and make a list of the highest paying industries. Okay, I'm going to write it out so that you guys can remember as I'm talking about it. But make a list of the highest paying industries. Okay, it should be very easy to do with Google or with chat. Can literally do that in like 2 minutes. Then the next step, once you do this, is to highlight or select the ones that align with you. So we're going to say alignment for this one. So highlight the ones or select the ones and put them maybe even on a separate list that align the most with you. And this is that relate to your character, your personality, the stuff that I was mentioning with balance. This is kind of where that comes into play. And so of those highest paying industries, find the ones that align the best with you. Then you need to be brutally honest and maybe even go out there and network. But you need to basically build a roadmap that gets you from where you are now to actually being in that industry and having success in that industry. And so I kind of gave you 2 in 1 in the last point, but the two are intertwined. Once you find the highest paying industry or the highest paying industries that align with you, you then need to be brutally honest and network with people. Find out, okay, what do I need to get to where you are? What do I need to break into the door? And not just on Google and what the internet is saying, like actually find people who are where you want to be and ask them what they did in their process and journey. And then in your situation, using where you are at the moment, build a roadmap to get there. And not what you think is the roadmap, not what others have told you is the roadmap. Only listen to people who are where you want to be and build your roadmap in accordance to what they say, okay? Because Uncle Ben has no idea what it looks like to be a high ticket salesperson, as much as probably your auntie or mother has no idea what it looks like to be an AI engineer. Okay, you need to find people in those industries and in those places and do what they've done or follow that similar roadmap or path. On to the best part, which is now kind of where I spoon feed you all, which I know some of you have just been waiting for and probably even sat through this, leaned over, ready to receive this virtual spoon feeding. Anyways, these are now examples of some industries that I personally would be looking at. Okay, and I kind of mentioned two of them. The first one is AI. Actually, let me make this a little bit more clearer. So here are your examples. Okay, just some examples. AI is the first one. That one is a no-brainer, and I don't care how you feel about it, whether you want to accept it or not. There are stupid amounts of money to be made in AI, and it is not going anywhere. The next one, as I kind of mentioned, would be high ticket sales. And I shared a little bit in my story about someone who, when I was 16, got into this, and they're now basically a multi-millionaire who has their own company and is, yeah, just absolutely killing it. And we started off in the same place in retail. And so another one that is a little bit more saturated now, admittedly, but it does still work if you're serious. And just sales in general, I'll just circle that in general, because any sort of sales is kind of good in general when it comes to just making a lot of money. We'll say crypto as well. Now this one is a personal favorite of mine. But again, huge potential here over the next few years. Great industry where it's not uncommon for 13, 14, 15-year-olds to be making millions. Similar to AI actually. And then I'll put another one. And these are, you know, it's funny because I'm looking at this list and it's a lot of things that, you know, when I said earlier about how you need to find things that align with you. Yeah, all of these examples are things that low-key align with me. Some more than others, but that's just the nature of how it goes sometimes when you're teaching people. Anyways, these are 4 examples of these industries. Again, I'm not saying you should now go and dive into these things, but this was me kind of spoon feeding you and using real examples of, you know, if I was to do this now, what industries would I go into? Because subconsciously I gave you a list of ones that align with me and relate to the current market. And if you are like me and have similar interests, then great, please go for it. Go for these industries. But the point is, the biggest reason why people struggle to make money in life, and then others seemingly outperform them in a matter of years, is not necessarily due to talent often, or skill, or hard work, but oftentimes actually because of the industry that they're in. I promise you that if you spend the next 3 to 5 years really learning about AI and pushing and applying for things and gaining the experience needed to work in AI, you would make more money than spending the next 3 to 5 years learning how to, I don't know, be a lawyer or a solicitor or a doctor. Same thing if you spent the next 3 to 5 years really learning about crypto. I promise you'd make more than probably the average manager in a mid-level corporation. You know, these are all examples of things, and the whole purpose of this video is to show you that instead of you spending years of your life just to go into a field that, you know, has a nice title or give you clout or respect in the family, if you are actually apply this and you have a list like this for yourself and you say, okay, over the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years, I'm going to throw myself into one of these things or these things, I guarantee you will make stupid amounts of money. Because I think the biggest thing that holds a lot of people back isn't the fact that they work hard, but it's just the fact that they have chosen to go into the wrong things or things that don't pay them well for their time. And so they end up actually being paid less than what they're worth. And that's not what I want for any of you watching. And for those of you watching that are currently working or have careers, it's not too late to change. You can always learn, upskill, and pivot. And so, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.